Why will the commies from henceforth continue to get their butts handed to them? Because even after losing official control of D.C., their hubris and their lies, they know no ends. Listen to this brief comment from Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, to a Marxist media ally.
President Biden directed me to oversee a massive surge in the military equipment that we are delivering to Ukraine so that we have spent every dollar that Congress has appropriated to us by the time that President Biden leaves office.
So, in short, make peace as difficult as possible for Trump to achieve between Russia and the Ukraine. Man, if the Dems can't win, they'll happily burn down the world so their opponents can't. Jake Sullivan, who you just heard, is about as sleazy as they come and exactly the type of deep stater who needs to go, and hopefully go to prison. Regarding Russia, Sullivan was a former high-ranking Hillary campaign aide back in 2015 and 2016, who issued a press release, which Hillary then retweeted, causing the intended firestorm, alleging a secret back-channel server connection existed between Trump and Moscow. It's a prime example of how the deep state works, and it's very much worth paying attention to. That's why we're going into it here, to understand the cooperation that exists between all these multiple players who are part of the deep state. Government agencies, politicians, and media, all in an attempt. They colluded, all in an attempt to bring down Trump. Remember, Russia, Russia, Russia? This was part of that whole narrative. FBI sources leaked to the Hillary campaign that there was a secret server connection, a back channel between Trump and Moscow. There wasn't, but the false information was originally fed, get this, to the FBI by the Clinton campaign. So they pick up the phone and say, hey, guess what's going on here? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And they hang up the phone. And then the FBI comes to them and says, hey, guess what we just heard? Yeah, you heard it from us. Once the FBI repeated to Hillary's staff, and that Hillary staff had said that to them, that's when Sullivan, who was a part of the staff, then quietly told Slate magazine and the New York Times. Of course, they ran the requisite bombshell smoking gun stories. The FBI looks into investigate secret back channel computer server connections between Trump and Moscow. Once those legacy Marxist media stories were out, Jake Sullivan then issued a pearl-clutching statement on their stories. The same stories he had fed them to begin with, and acted like it was some sort of breaking news. Of course, then Hillary treated her own campaign's comment, remember, on a story that they had concocted, told the FBI about, got the FBI to repeat back to them, and then shared all of that with the complicit media as though it was some deep, dark secret that the FBI had discovered about Trump and Russian collusion. Not a single syllable of any of that was true. It was all lies, first to last, made up by Hillary and her staff. The reports said that Moscow's server made a huge number of requests or lookup hits of the Trump server. So here's the hitch. But there's no evidence, meaning data records. Nothing was ever produced because it couldn't be found because it didn't happen, that show that the Trump server ever responded to the Moscow server. That's ever, as in never. Likewise, there is zero evidence the two servers ever communicated at all about anything. The story, if you can call it that, which it isn't, boils down to this. A Russian computer made thousands of attempts to communicate with the Trump server. The Trump server ignored all of them. End of story. And because that's the end of the story, that's not a story. It's not even close. Yet, this honest Hillary team spearheaded the push to make it a story, which, of course, their media pals ran wild with. And it went on for years as part of the thing until quietly on like page D9 at the bottom of it, oh, by the way, the server story is not true. We'll tell you all of that. We're telling you all of that to share with you the kind of deep state sleazebag that Jake Sullivan is. The same sleazebag Biden has charged with arming the Ukraine to the teeth with your tax dollars and making the whole situation as complicated as possible for when Trump comes in. A guy who was part of trying to take down candidate Trump 8 years ago is now Biden's point man on Ukraine to try and take down President Trump on the world stage via the Ukraine. Sometimes you have to wander far into the swamp to really get the full stench of its poison wafting up your nostrils to understand what's going on. These commie bastards would start World War III if they thought it would help them, and they are commie bastards. Coming to you from Houston, Texas, this is Gary Michael Voris. God love you.